Behind the Roar, the official podcast of West Tigers.
Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Behind the Roar, the official podcast of the West Tigers, where we give it to you straight, where we kick speculation into touch and where we learn more about the people and the stories behind this great club. This week's guest played 35 games for West Tigers over 3 seasons before his career was cruelly cut short by a life-changing injury in 2011. That was when he burst onto the scene. In 2009, he was described as one of the brightest prospects in the game. In his first full season, he was named West Tigers Rookie of the Year, and the sky really was the limit. In just his second full season before the injury, he represented New South Wales City against country. These days, he is one of Tim Sheam's assistant coaches who specialises in match analysis. He has one of the cheekiest grins in rugby league, and in his spare time, they tell me he's very fond of a game of poker. Welcome to Behind the Roar, Simon Dwyer.
Welcome, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
Mate, great to have you with us, and I'm looking forward to diving into your story and learning more about what you do at the club currently. How this works, and I'm pretty sure you may have watched one of the first episodes. We'll open with a set of 6 questions where we get to know you a little bit better. We'll talk a bit of serious stuff, and as I said, we'll go back to your story as a player and post-retirement as well. A couple of questions from the crowd, and if you do want to send your questions in, West Tigers BTR, that's the Instagram handle that you need. Just DM us there and we'll read out some of those questions. And next week, I'll give it a plug right now. Next week, we've got the great Roy Masters here in the studio. So if you've got any questions for Roy, just direct message us on Insta. That's probably the easiest way to go about that. Then with about 5 minutes to go, Simon will rapid fire questions. Your favourite 5 could be about memories, people, moments, anything that really comes to mind. Just on your current role, tell us a bit more about what you're doing at the club now and the assistance that you give the coaching staff.
So back in 2012, I worked for the NYC team and then just worked my way all the way up to the first grade team. So I've been doing the analysis side of things, stats and video. But of recent, I've moved into the assistant coach role, and that mainly of match analysis and opposition analysis. So that's my big part of my role this year.
So, and our listeners probably don't know, and I don't really know either, but it's very time consuming, isn't it? What sort of information is Tim and the other coaching staff looking for you to provide?
So I pretty much meet with the coaches once a week just to go through the game plan and what I feel like would work against certain teams and their strengths, their weaknesses, our strengths and weaknesses, and what's the best way to play certain teams and what individuals to focus on and where to target.
I was lucky enough to be down in Melbourne last weekend with yourself, obviously, and I saw firsthand one of those pre-match meetings ahead of the game against Melbourne Storm. And from an outsider looking in, because I'm not sitting in on those meetings, and without giving too much away, but the intricate details which is presented to the players about opponents, it is really scientific, and it's quite obvious a lot has gone in to research and preparation, i.e. what arm he prefers to carry in, which foot he's kicking off, what indications are that he might step off his left, player A, B or C. It's quite an art, isn't it?
Yeah, we try not to leave any stone unturned, so we try and cover every aspect of the game. I watch pretty much every NRL game regardless, and then I'll rewatch multiple games 3-4 times a week just to make sure I've got the best idea of their structures, their plays, their trends.
Do you get sick of it ever? You must have.
No, I love
dreams
footy.
and nightmares about vision.
I love footy, so I don't mind it.
Yeah. Okay, in terms of facts and figures, the harsh reality is we're 0-4, right? It's not what any of us hoped for, but it is what it is. That said, we haven't been too far off the pace in any of those games. There are some positives to come out of those games, and you will know in terms of different stats, there are some areas where we are performing pretty well compared to other clubs.
Yeah, definitely. We're performing in a lot of different areas, in particular offloads, shifts, and tackle breaks. So we're creating a lot of opportunity. We just need that icing on the end of it.
So offloads compared to other clubs, where would we sort of be
we're
sitting?
first in offloads.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And tackle breaks as well. We're creating opportunities.
Yeah, I think we're third in tackle breaks, so we're definitely making plenty of line breaks, and we just need to convert them on the end of it.
And you talk about shifts. Tell us more about what that entails.
Yeah, so we're looking to play more of an expansive game of footy this year, and obviously we've had a few errors in that area, but if we get our completions up, I'm sure we'll start to see the wins on the board.
So we're not far away, right? And I'm not sugarcoating the losses, and I'm not here to do that, right? I said that in last week's episode as well, where we were getting closer, and I thought that that first win might come in Melbourne. It didn't. A really strong second half for us. But some of those figures that you're rattling off then, I guess there's every reason still to be very confident that it's not far away, that we are doing the right things other than last tackle options.
Yeah, completions and there's that line break conversions, really. So once we get that on board, I will be fine just taking the right options and probably not forcing that extra pass.
All right, well, we'll talk more about your role a bit later on, right? We'll get even a bit more into the nitty-gritty and your story of life, which, mate, it truly is inspiring, and I think a lot of our listeners, viewers will learn a lot once we hear what you've been through and how things are now positive for you. So we'll do that a little bit later on. But right now, shall we get into the opening set of 6. So it's Sunday, 19th of July, 2009. It's a 3 p.m. kickoff at Leichhardt Oval against North Queensland Cowboys. Pretty good lineup too, Simon, featuring a host of people who are now employed by the club. Robbie Farah is captain, Benji Marshall in the 6, Shannon Gallant, now head of pathways through the southwest. He's at fullback. Chrissy Lawrence is in the centres. The coach is Tim Sheens. Referees are Shane Hayne and Matt Checken. And there is a shot of the bench. Much has been said about this young fella from Macquarie Field, Simon Dwyer, sitting alongside John Scandalis and just itching to get out there for his NRL debut. So there is the whistle. Jonathan Thurston puts boot to ball, and we are officially underway. It's taken inches inside the dead ball line by Shannon Gallant, and he sends now Cowboys coach Todd Payton with the very first carry. How vividly do you remember your NRL debut at Leichhardt, and what did it mean to you?
It was definitely a highlight in my life. I've always wanted to play first grade growing up, and to get the opportunity was unreal. Tim Sheens was a big inspiration in my career. Like, he followed me throughout all the juniors, regular in contact with him since I was like 15, 16. And he finally gave me the chance to play first grade.
A lot of nerves?
Yeah, I was definitely very nervous, especially sitting on the bench for an hour, and I only played the last 20 minutes. So getting up and warming up and down the sideline, thinking, when am I going to get on, was pretty nerve-wracking.
Do you remember your first carry or tackle?
I remember I got on the field and I made 5 tackles straight. And just after that, I was just gassed that I was gone. I probably should have just paced myself a little. But yeah, I loved every minute of it.
I bet you did. Tell us about your journey as a younger player through the pathways, the rep teams that you would have made. How did it all come about?
Yeah, so I played in the Western Suburbs district. Played for Macquarie Field Hawks, Inburn Bulldogs, and Liverpool Catholic Club. Then I progressed obviously to Mats, Ball, Flegg, and New South Wales Cup. So I played all my junior footy with the West Magpies. Our school actually didn't have footy. It's a bit of a story here. Our school, I went to Macquarie Fields High School, and we didn't have a footy team. So in order to make schoolboys, I had to go play for another school.
Right.
So I just rocked up at the carnival and ended up playing for Ed's High School to make my schoolboys.
Ed's?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would have snuck into the New South Wales CHS?
Yeah. So I pretty much just went down there to make
illegally.
You could say that, but that's the only.
Hang on. We're going to have to go back and rewrite the history books, because technically you've come through the back door playing for a school that you didn't attend to make a New South Wales rep team.
100%.
Oh, gee, Simon, I wish you hadn't have told me that. But anyway, look, regardless of how you did it, so these days, Macquarie Fields, have they got a footy team these days?
No, they still don't have a footy team. I ended up, we played in the Buckley Shield one year. What was the year after that? I pretty much had to make the team and look after the team. But then we won our first game, and then our second game, I had to go away for the schoolboys and couldn't play, and we got knocked out then. Since then, I don't think they have a football team.
So that was under 15s and opens, or both?
It was opens, yeah.
It was the opens, the Australian Championships. Wow. Did you make the Australian schoolboys as well?
No, I didn't make Australian schoolboys. Actually got injured. Actually dislocated my shoulder, so couldn't play anymore. Couldn't play in that competition anymore anyway.
When did you first? And this is where we're up to, tackle 3, I think we are. When did you first realise, Simon, that you were a very good footballer and you could aim for the sky?
I just always loved footy, to be honest, and I thought if I made it, I made it. I wasn't really like thinking like, yeah, I'm going to make it. But there was a lot of people that did doubt me, that did say that I would never make it. And to be honest, that drive pushed me to work harder. And I knew the harder and harder I worked, I would eventually get there.
What were you talking about? What, mates or other players you played against?
Mates, family, bit of everyone really. So
well, you showed
just wanted to prove them wrong.
Absolutely. And oftentimes that can be a great motivator. But did you, as a kid, when did you start playing?
So I started playing when I was 7.
Yeah.
My dad pretty much coached me in all my local league.
Yeah.
So he was a big push for me to play, and he was pretty tough on me. So I'd never miss a training session. I was sick. No, you're still going.
It's funny, isn't it? Well, not funny, but I coach as well, and my young boy's in the team, and some people might say, well, he might get an easier run, but actually, if anything, I think the father as the coach is a bit harder on his own son.
100%. And I didn't want to let my dad down either, you know what I mean? So I don't want anyone to say, oh, you're only here because of your son. So I wanted to prove to everyone that I'm here because I'm a decent player.
Mate, you're more than a decent player, and history shows that, Simon. So we'll talk more about your story a bit later on. We're up to, where are we? Tackle 4 now. You're still in great shape. You love still lifting the weights and staying fit?
Yeah, definitely. Still go to the gym, 2-3 times a week. I always get in there a fair bit. Did dabble in a bit of CrossFit when I got injured, and I just wanted to, prove to everyone that, even though I've only got the use of one arm, I can still lift weights just as good as anyone else.
Yeah.
So I looked into a few actual competitions to go into. There was one in America as adaptive athletes.
Yeah.
So I was basing my reps and scores off what they were lifting, and I got to the point where I thought I could compete, but then I had a back injury, which sort of set me back there. So
that's incredible. So, what sort of weights are you throwing around now? What sort of stuff do you do?
Yeah, so I can pretty much do anything. I do cleans, snatches, deadlifts. I can pretty much do anything
With the one arm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That is incredible. So absolutely incredible. Now, Cassidy, who works very closely with you, Cassidy Grant. She does a tremendous job as well, doesn't she, in terms of with the analysis, putting all the clips together and the numbers. But she's also let me on a little secret too, and I don't know how big a secret it is. Would you call it an addiction, your love of poker?
No, I wouldn't say it's an addiction. I just a bit of an outlet for me. It's a bit relaxing, and I enjoy playing poker. I sort of got into it when after I got injured, I was had a bit of spare time, so I was playing a fair bit of poker then, and I just love the aspect of reading people and trying to bluff people.
So this isn't. I'm watching Poker Face at the moment. You watch that?
Yeah, I've seen.
It's not really about poker. I digress. So this isn't just about playing cards with mates. You're serious about it, and you regular entry into tournaments, right?
Yeah, I play at least probably 2-3 times a week, to be honest. So
late nights?
I love it. Yeah, they are late nights. So depending on when our training is.
That might explain, Simon, why you're coming in looking a little bit tired sometimes. But you go all right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love it.
There you go. Well, is that a sport? Just asking. A nod from producer Tom. poker is a sport. Would you agree with that?
100%. There is some skill involved,
Oh,
and
come
also
on.
you do need a bit of luck, but there is some skill involved.
Well, what defines sport? We are getting off track here. Is chess sport?
It's a strategy game, mental game.
Does it need to have athleticism involved? Is darts a sport?
Who knows?
I'm not so sure. Anyway, so away from the poker and lifting these heavy weights, what else? What else does Simon Dwyer do when he does get some spare time?
I do love golf, so I've been playing a bit of golf lately. A lot of people are pretty surprised by like that. They're saying, "How do you play golf with one arm?" But that just makes me push harder to want to be better at golf. So that's my little goal at the moment, to be better at golf.
So you were right-handed, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I was right-handed. Now I've pretty much adapted to do anything with my left arm.
So driver, one-arm driver.
Yeah, driver still needs a little bit of work, but I'm getting there. Yeah, it's probably just a few slices in the drive, but I'm pretty good with my irons and wedges.
Just incredible. And it sort of goes, I think it is a lesson for all of us. We take life for granted, what we've got, until you do lose something as precious as you've lost, the use of a limb. And it's a real lesson of perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The way I look at things is just that, whatever's happened. You can't change it. So you just got to make the most of what you've got.
There's I don't know if adage is the right word or term, but or a saying. I once complained because I had no shoes until I saw a man who had no feet. And your story really is, it's a beacon of hope for anyone else out there too that, has suffered like you have, but life goes on.
So you can either go two ways. You can sit and cry and complain about it, but that's going to get you nowhere, or you can just move on and do the best with what you got.
Bryden's lawyers are the lawyers you know and trust. If you require legal representation, then why look anywhere else? Call Bryden's lawyers on 1-800-848-848. Bryden's lawyers, we do support you in your time of need.
All right, well, let's dive into more about you, about your story, and also, I guess, some key issues around the club. I asked you, Simon, earlier when we kicked off, the opening, just before the set of six, how well you remembered your NRL debut and an exciting moment for you. If it's okay with you, can I ask you how well you remember that game which ended your career? It was against Canterbury. It was a very big crowd at Campbelltown Sports Stadium, round 16, 2011. How well do you remember that game?
Yeah, I was actually I was pretty nervous before the game, and I thought I had like an issue with my ankle, so I was always stretching my ankle, rolling it around, because I thought I was going to have an issue with my ankle. Anyways, my ankle ended up being fine, but then I just seen Michael Hodson. He was just running at me, and he was going to turn and offload the ball, and I just thought I'd give him a good little hit there, and I just got unlucky. Really, I think the damage was done prior to that, to be honest, but yeah, that just sealed the deal, I think.
At that time, so what part of the match was the injury, roughly?
I think it was pretty early in the match, yeah.
Did you know at that, well, you can't have known, but in the pit of your stomach, did you know it was a pretty serious injury?
No. The way I always played footy is like, no matter what happens, they could fix it. So I was like, yep, that's all right, they'll fix it.
We know that incident, it changed your life, right? It changed your course of life. And as you've said, you've got no longer full use of the right arm. You underwent surgery, though, extensive surgery. And there was hope that you would get full use back, was there not?
So I pretty much researched everywhere, looked at every doctors here and overseas, and I went to one doctor and he told me he was the best in Australia, and he told me that he could only fix my shoulder. He wouldn't bother even fixing my hand or my elbow. So I didn't agree to that, and then I found another doctor who was a hand specialist, and he agreed that he would try and get my arm working and my hand working. And then both those doctors got together and agreed to do the surgery together. So one would focus mainly on my shoulder and the hand specialist would focus on my hand. So, yeah, the surgery was about 19 hours or something. So it was pretty long surgery, and I ended up with blisters from head to toe from laying on the desk the whole time.
So just explain the injury again. I know we're going back over a decade, but the nerves basically had been detached. Is that right?
Yeah, so there's 5 nerves in my neck. There's C5 to T1, and they're all ripped from the spinal cord. So I think my neck just went one way and my shoulder went the other way and ripped them out. And there's no way to reattach them. So what the doctors try to do is redirect less important nerves from my other arm into my right arm in hope that it will get some sort of function back.
When you were told that, hey, Simon, you're not going to play again, I imagine you must have felt like your whole world came crashing down. How did you deal with that?
I pretty much just told the doctor off. I said, mate, you're dreaming. You got no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I always had aspirations to play again.
And then fast forward, it didn't happen that way. You didn't play again. That was to be your last ever game. But did it get to a point where, okay, I can deal with not playing again, but now this is a whole bigger problem because I've got to learn to live life again in a different way?
Yeah, I probably never looked at it that way. I always looked at, you know what, I'll just make the most of what I've got. So that was my big point. And I had a lot of support around me, you know, friends and family. They all teammates. Tim Sheens was really good. He came and visited me every day in hospital. Also, Brad Fittler, he showed up at the hospital, which was really good for my mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Brad Fittler, and yeah, wonderful player, wonderful coach, good person. I know him reasonably well, but you have spent a lot of time with Freddie, haven't you, over the years? How has he helped shape who Simon Dwyer is?
Yeah, so I'm really appreciative of Freddie. He's helped me a lot. Played for him in city camp, and then after I got injured, he came to the hospital, which I was really appreciative of. You know, I didn't think that I would see him there. He was probably the last person I thought I would have seen there. But he followed me up through all my injuries and stuff. So I was really appreciative of that. And then he even brought me into the city camp. So I was at a city camp for I think 4 years there. Yeah. So he gave me a bit of purpose there, and that really lifted my spirits.
Because first year on the scene, basically, you made the city team, so you were earmarked to be going on to play Origin to achieve a lot of things in the game, and I have no doubt that you would have, but it wasn't to be. But it's a story of strength and courage what you have done to be able to live a normal life, and in fact do pretty much more than any of us do in terms of playing golf and lifting weights. Working here at the club and staying so involved in what the club and the team is doing, that must give you an inward strength as well, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. Like I still love being around footy. Like footy was my life since I was 7 years old. That's all I've ever known. So to continue that post injury was unreal for me.
Absolutely. As I said earlier, it does put life into perspective. What sort of advice, Simon, would you give anyone else that might be as unfortunate as yourself and lose something so precious? How do they deal with it? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, just find some good friends and family that are going to support you, going to be positive. You don't want any negative people around you, and you want to keep positive yourself. There's always a lot of people that are a lot worse off than you, but just make the most of what you got, I would say.
Absolutely. So, Simon, your role, it's recently changed. It's much broader now. So you are an assistant coach, which you must be thrilled about.
Yeah, definitely. I was really appreciative of Sheensy giving me that trust and believing in my ability as an assistant coach. So previously, I've been working as an analyst, and I've been doing a lot of coaching work as well. So for him to give me that opportunity, I really appreciate it.
So the expanded role, then, just again, take us through what that includes.
Yeah, so it's just a lot more of match day analysis and preview for opposition teams. So that's where I do most of my work.
Oh, well done. It's like you must be very proud of that, right? It's a big thing now to be an NRL assistant coach.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's something I've been aspiring to, and hopefully can continue along that path and get more involved in the footy and yeah, have more of an impact on the team.
This is where you want to go, right? Clearly, you're very keen about furthering your own coaching career.
Yeah, so I've obviously I've had a few coaches here at the Tigers, and I've learned and took different things from different coaches. So I think I'm well experienced in rugby league, and through all the coaches and through my own playing experience. So I think there's time for me to take the next step to the assistant coach.
Working at the club as an analyst, what would a typical week entail for you?
Yeah, so pretty much we will film every training session. We have multiple cameras. We have a few IP cameras. We have a drone. We usually get a scissor lift up, and then we film an end-on vision there. So a variety of visions, and then after training session, we'll just go in there and we'll cut it up, and then we'll hand it over to the coaches, have a chat with the coaches, tell them what I'm seeing, what I think needs improving, and then they'll pass that on to the players.
Well, it's high tech, isn't it? So I mean, I see the drones, and I see you and Cass operating them, and then there's the forklift, or what do you call it?
The scissor lift.
The
Yeah.
scissor lift. So that all gets cut up, all different angles, and every training session is broken down and analysed. So there's no escaping it for these players. Like if they're not putting in at training, there's plenty of eyes on them.
Yeah, 100%. They don't get away from anything. There's multiple people of us watching the training session from day to day, so there's not much we miss.
And not just the GPS stuff and all the heart rates. We're talking different angles, who's running the right line, who's not got their hands up, all that sort of stuff. I mean,
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, just our game plan, see if we're executing our game plan, see if the players are running the right angles, running the right plays, getting to the right areas of the field. There's a whole lot more that goes into it.
what's it like now working with Tim and teammates Benji and Robbie? Have you seen any changes in the way Tim goes about his business?
A lot of them are pretty much the same. So all the game planning and sort of his philosophies of rugby league are pretty much the same. So it was easy for me to understand and adapt to the new coach. And yeah.
When you played alongside Robbie and Benji a while back, did you see in them, did you ever think that they'd go down the coaching path as well?
Yeah, 100%. They were both true leaders, especially Benji. I played outside Benji a fair bit, and he was always telling me what to do. I didn't really need to read the game plan because he would direct me on the field. So it was made it a lot easier for me.
We had Robbie in here, the first guest, Simon, in that chair, or this chair actually. I was sitting there, and I didn't tell Robbie he was Mr. Grumpy, but he did have a bit of a relationship with the media, and maybe it was all put on by Robbie. When you get to know Robbie as well as you do, what's he like away from footy?
No, he's just a real passionate person. So he has real drive and respect for honesty and working your hardest. So he's a real passionate person.
And what would you say about Benji? What are his key traits that you think will make him a successful head coach going forward down the track?
I think he understands people. So keeping people happy will make them play to the best of their ability. And obviously he knows the game very well, and he gets it really, the way he explains things are very simple and very direct. So it's easy for the players to understand.
Your career, and much briefer than you had hoped, but I imagine there were some really good times in those couple of years that you played, right? And one of those career highlights people still talk about today was that hit on Jared Warrior-Hargreaves. Tell us a bit more about that. Was it planned? Was it something you'd written down in your little notebook before the game?
I played through all my juniors. I played against Hargreaves multiple times, and we always had a bit of a running battle. So just in that game, you seen him running straight at me, and I just had to throw everything at him. So
they're still calling it one of the hits of the century. You know that.
Well, at least I left a mark somewhere in rugby league.
No, you did. But that was a final, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, semi-final. Yeah.
I was just I was chatting earlier, and going back to your last game in 2011. Huge crowd at Campbelltown, and the week prior to that, another really big crowd at Leichhardt too. I guess it's hand in hand with a team that's winning, then the people do come along, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure that our fans have been pretty good lately, so they're still showing up, they're still supporting us. So hopefully they can still get out there and support us throughout the rest of this season.
No, I mean, they will for sure. I've speaking to a lot of people, like, yeah, you want to see the wins. And if we're getting towed up each week, well, then there's panic buttons and hit the crisis button if there is one. But as we said last week, when there's no lack, when there's a lack of effort, then you got big problems. But some of the stats you're already pointing to, it does show that we are inching closer to victory, and let's hope it can come against Brisbane, which is not going to be easy. The Broncos, one of the surprise packets this season.
Yeah, definitely. The Broncos got a lot of strong players. You know, Husk, Harrigan, Staggs, and then Reynolds got that smart kicking game. So it's going to be a tough challenge for it.
So you early in the week, you're already breaking down some of your analysis on the Broncos players?
Yeah, so I'll work in a week in advance, so just so that I can have it ready for the coaches at the start of the week and they can start building our game plan and seeing which way we want to play.
Let us in on some info then. Who are we targeting?
I can't say too much.
No, okay, fair enough. But clearly you've mentioned a couple of those. I mean, Reynolds is just such a great game controller. Ezra Mam is unpredictable. They've got speed out wide, and Payne Haas has got one of the biggest motors of any forward in the game, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. They got a lot of strong individuals in their team.
But the vibe is good within the camp, right? We're going there with one thing to do.
Yeah, we're all still positive. All the boys are still working hard, so we'll be definitely up for the challenge.
And I say, I mean, you're in the inner sanctum, right? I'm not so much, other than if I'm in the change room after a match, whatever. What are the players talking about? How are they? Is there still a positive vibe? Are they as confident that we are that a win is only just around the corner?
Yeah, 100%. The boys are all upbeat. They're all pumped. They're all ready to go. They're obviously disappointed in the loss, but they know what areas we need to improve to get the win.
So I'm right. On a bit of a lighter note, 3 current or former footy players you can have around for a barbecue. 3 current or former footy players. Who are they?
So I'd have to say Gareth Ellis. I really admired him when he played here at Tigers. He was the person I looked up to most at the Tigers.
So he would have been... Where would he have been in his career at that stage? Towards the tail end?
Yeah, he was towards the tail end, yeah.
Yeah, what a player. Okay, Gareth is in.
Yeah, and then I'd have to go Gibbs and Fulton. They're unreal. They're funny as, good characters, good blokes.
You stay in touch with them?
Here and there, not as much as I should, but yeah, they're legends.
Hey, I had another one down here I wanted to ask you. So away from footy, now we've got a dinner party. Are you a good cook?
We go all right.
You go all right?
Too often, but I don't mind cooking.
What's the specialty?
Oh, I like my schnitzel. I love cooking my schnitzel.
Schnitty. Do you do the Parmigiana?
No, just I like the white sauce sort of thing with schnitzel. Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Right, I say a dinner party. Okay, schnitzel's on the menu, whatever you want. Nice little Italian salad on the side, yeah?
Yep.
Ensalada mister. 3 guests to your dinner party, but away from football.
So celebrities we're talking.
Could be celebrities, politicians, could be anyone.
Okay, we're going to go with Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's been my idol. I love all his movies.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
How old would he be now?
I'm not sure, but I've always loved
Still
him.
kicking around. Yeah. Good, okay. Jean-Claude?
Yeah, Steven Seagal for pretty much the same reason. I love all his movies too. And then the last one, I'd have to go Eddie Murphy for that bit of flair, that bit of comedy.
Jean-Claude, Eddie Murphy, and Steven Seagal.
Good mix.
Absolutely.
West Tigers members and fans, let's get ready to make some noise at our next home game against Parramatta Eels on Monday the 10th of April. West Tigers have arranged a special ticket offer with free entry for children 15 years and under. Visit West Tigers website for full terms and conditions of this free ticket offer. The Easter Monday showstopper. Come on, show your stripes.
Let's move on now. Couple of questions from the crowd, and again, if you do want to send us your questions through, Roy Masters is on the next edition of Behind the Roar. Just go on Insta's probably the easiest way, West Tigers BTR, and like us and DM us there, and we'll put some questions to Roy next week. All right, this one from Jay Chili. G'day, guys. Long-time fan, only 2-year member. I've got a question for the next episode of BTR. I love the podcast, by the way. Well, thank you, Jay Chili. Noting the current recruitment drive and the current lack of consistency with the withdrawal of Kenny Mamalo and not signing Mitchell Moses, who would you look to recruit for next year? Well, Jay, I'm probably not the right person to tell you because it's a question, I guess, above my pay grade. I will say that it is our club's policy that we don't talk about recruitment pretty much full stop until it happens. That's the policy that we have got. So anything you might read in the media, don't always believe the accuracy of that. So I do know that we now have 29 in the top 30 with Kenny going. So there is a spot there. I do know that we are in a very healthy position with the salary cap. I think next year we've got 25, maybe even 26 of the top 30 already signed up. But the club has list management meetings every single week. They look at this season, next season, and 2 or 3 years down the track, where they think they need to add to the current quality squad that we've got. So, Jay Chili, policy is that we don't talk about recruitment until it happens. So I hope that answers your question, mate, and great to have you enjoying Behind the Raw. We've got another one here. The Beak. Was there any bad blood, Simon, between you and JWH after that shot?
No, there wasn't. Actually, after the game, he came to the sheds and said, good hit, good shot, and he's actually a really good bloke off the field.
He's a good bloke. I've heard he's a very good bloke, JWH. Have you bumped into him recently at all?
No, I haven't seen him in a while, pretty much. I've seen him at the games here and there, but that's about it.
Then you smile and say good day.
Yeah, 100%.
All good.
No bad blood.
Good. That's how we like it. Sue from Mount Annan, she says, what's going wrong with our attack? Do the players even watch their tapes?
Yeah, all the players, they rewatch the game. They have a few sheets they need to fill in, so they watch all their touches, their tackles, their runs, and then they have to go see a coach, and then they'll give them a bit of a background on where they need to improve, what they need to do. So the players are working really hard, so I'm sure a win's just around the corner.
So that's with every game then? So every player. So for Nuapol, for example, he'll get all his runs and tackles and anything off the ball cut up, and for him to analyse and go and watch and then go and have a chat to Sheensy.
Yeah, 100%. Every player goes through all their runs and tackles, and then they go meet with a coaching member and get feedback on.
And you have to put that together?
It's actually put together by the NRL, so it's pretty.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we think, assistant coaches, but there's a whole lot of work behind the scenes that it's just so sophisticated, the modern day analysis, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot more to just getting out on the park and playing on game day. There's, we're here from 6:30 till 4 every day, working to get the best result for our team.
And you've probably seen a big transition, even in the last few years, about what goes into analysis and coaching.
Yeah, year on year, things just keep to improving, and there's better things to look at, better coaching methods, better coaching technology. We start off with just a handy cam. Now we have IP cameras, drones. There's all different types of technologies where we can analyse performance.
There you go. Well, there you are, Sue from Mount Annan. I hope that sort of answered your question in that was the long form version. So yes, they do watch the tapes, so to speak, very, very closely. Thank you for sending those questions in. We'll do it again, as I say, next week on Behind the Raw. Our special guest, again, is the great Roy Masters. So send those questions through. 5 on the clock, Simon. See, time flies, doesn't it? Beautiful. When you're having fun. 5 on the clock. Let's rattle through them, and we're almost at full time. This episode of Behind the Raw. Well, you've almost given this one away. Your favourite meal, and throw in there also your favourite restaurant. And if you want to give one of your mates' restaurants a plug, if you want some freebies, you can do that.
No, I actually like Lebanese. So Lebanese is my favourite food on the charcoal barbecue.
Is it?
Yeah. So I'm trying to do it myself, but I'm not the best at it, so I need to work on that.
So where did that love of Lebanese food come
Oh, I
from?
just love it. Yeah, so we've got a
Twali, Dewey, they been in your ear?
Yeah, they've cooked it a few times for us, especially in the COVID period, so that was good. But yeah, I've always loved it, and the place I go to is Tommy's at Smithfield.
Oh, Tommy Smithfield. What about our Tommy producer? Tom's nodding his head there. Do you know it, do you? Right. Oh, well, cut that up, clip that up, and you won't pay for your next char grill. Righto. Favourite thing about your role here at West Tigers?
So I just love working with the people that we got here now. Robbie, Benji, Fernsey, Sheensy, and just the whole crew, whole footy crew. It's very more familiar vibe for me since I've worked with them all before, and just makes it a lot more comfortable, and I feel like my voice is heard a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. And you got to enjoy work too, right? You got to come to work with a spring in your step and a smile on your face, hopefully, and even if your team isn't winning, you still got to be upbeat and positive and enjoy it.
Yeah, 100%. If you're down in the dumps, there's no real point of being here. So yeah, especially this new facility that we got, that sort of helps bring the vibe up. So I love working here.
You've been throwing the weights down there in the gym?
Yeah, I've been down here a few times just lifting the weights.
Done the ice bath yet?
Yeah, I've been in the ice bath, been in the sauna, been in the pool. So making full use of the facility.
I'm still to get down there. I'd like to. All right. Your favourite player, Simon, growing up?
Laurie Daly and Brad Fittler were my two favourites back in the day. So I've always admired both of them.
Yeah, could play. Your favourite bit of advice for any other poker players out there?
I'd probably say play the player, not the cards. That would be my biggest advice, because you can't win just playing good cards all the time. You need to play the player.
So what are some of the telltale sort of signs that I'm lying or I haven't got a good hand? What do you see?
Oh, just their bet frequencies, their bet sizes, their movements, and when you're playing on the table, you start to realize what sort of personality that person has. Where they more risk adverse, or they're pretty tight. And once you work out that, you can work out how you can counteract their plays.
Wow, it's the body language. I mean, you're almost got to be a body language expert.
Yeah, I just love reading people, and especially when I'm right, and you can show them and be like, yeah, look, I bluffed you. So I just love that aspect of poker. And
away from that, and more on a serious note, but being in touch with people like that and reading people, I imagine that you would, part of your daily job too, with the squad of players, knowing, what makes players tick, what sort of personalities they all have, because they're all very different. Yeah, 100%. And not only that, even see players certain trends on what they're doing and why they're doing them, and trying to explain them what's a better option for them to do, and work out why they're doing things they're doing. So even when I was playing, I used to work out how my defender was defending me. Yeah. And then that'll give me the best option to counteract that. Yeah, it's all very intertwined, isn't it? I like it. Right, mate. Here's your final question for this edition of Behind the Raw. You enjoyed being here, right? Yeah, I love being here. Oh, of course you do. Yeah. Let's be honest. No, let's be honest. I had to rope you in. I did have to rope you in a little bit. Yeah, I'm not a fan of public speaking, so. But it's cool. It's been pretty chill. It's casual. So it's very, very, very casual here. Righto. The best bit of advice you were ever given as a player? So something that I've always remembered was not to be a passenger. So don't be a passenger. So when you get out in that field, make sure you're known that you're there. I like it. Simon Dwyer, it's an inspiring story. It's wonderful to get to know you a little bit better. And I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from the way you have fought on and the great position you are in now, physically and mentally going forward. So thanks again, mate, for being our guest on this week's Behind the Raw. No worries. Thanks for having me. Simon Dwyer, there he is. And good luck to the boys at Suncorp Stadium on Saturday night up against Brisbane Broncos. Then the following week, so we've got a bit of a stretch then till our next home game, which is Easter Monday against Parramatta Eels on April the 10th. So as I said, we'll be hosting a live podcast fingers crossed, I'm sure it will happen at Accor Stadium on Easter Monday. Again, thanks to Simon. Next week's guest again is Roy Masters. Send through your questions for Roy. DM us on Insta, West Tigers BTR. That is how you get in touch with us. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. We'll do it all again, same time, same place next week. Until then, show your stripes.
Behind the Law, the official podcast of West Tigers.